Hey y'all, welcome back to the Mountain Man Podcast, episode 27, the quarantine edition. How many tapes are we going to have during the quarantine? I don't know. I'm a little late. I would like to apologize off the rip. I think it's been a few weeks since our last amazing episode with Dave Ruff. If you haven't heard that yet, what the hell are you doing? It was phenomenal. It was a great episode. I want to thank Dave again for coming on. It was awesome. And we had a good time. So after that, it kind of got a little crazy for me at my job. Pretty big deadline, and it was my first time going through that whole experience at this new place. So did pretty well. We got through it. No problems, no issues. Everything was good. And we're past that deadline, which means I'm back here with y'all. I have been stuck at home out here in the mountains with my wife and son for about 3 weeks now that they have not left the house to go do anything. So we've been having a lot of time bonding and trying not to kill each other. But I mean, honestly, we're having a great time. We're doing really well. It's been really nice to have this time. As a lot of y'all may remember, my wife is pregnant right now. Our baby is due in late May, which is a little nerve-wracking with everything that's going on. Don't even know if I'm going to be allowed in the delivery room when the baby comes. So we're figuring all that out. Y'all know I don't like to be gloomy on here, so we're not going to talk about really all the stuff that's going on. We're just going to kind of talk about how I'm at home right now and, you know, what we do to get through that. How does a mountain man deal with quarantine? Well, let's be honest, folks. A mountain man is so used to living in quarantine. It's pretty simple. It is pretty simple. So I'll just kind of be talking about what we've been doing the last couple weeks, things that are going on, and so on. If there is an interruption, I apologize in advance. Like I said, we're all here at home together right now. It is nap time throughout the house, so hopefully I don't wake anybody. By the way, everybody watching on YouTube, how you doing? What do y'all think of my really thick, unkept beard that I have not touched since quarantine started? Also, let's check out the waves up top. We're looking good. Not allowed to get a haircut. Although, nope, not going to say it. Delph tweet blocker applies to the podcast. There's a specific mayor in a specific large United States city who went and got a haircut and was pissed that people were pissed about it. I think it's kind of bullshit if a politician can get a haircut, but tell me that I'll get arrested if I do. Now, moving forward with the podcast, folks. You know, it's been great. It's been good timing for this quarantine, I think. So, you know, it sucks to be stuck at home, and I really feel for a lot of y'all that are stuck in metropolitan areas or suburban areas where you're not really able to just go out and get fresh air without fear of breathing in something or running into people. I mean, a lot of your fun stuff is kind of shut down. And you know, I've been bragging about this mountain lifestyle for a long time. And now it seems pretty appealing now, don't it? I'm not going to sit around and brag or be conceited or anything like that. I just want to kind of tell y'all about how awesome it is, and maybe there's some things that y'all could do that I've been able to do. We've been able to kind of take on a few spring projects. Spring is a great time, I think, to build stuff, to do stuff, obviously to garden and plant and landscape. I mean, it's a time of year where you've been stuck inside all winter, you've been cooped up, and the weather's getting nicer, and you finally get to go out and do a lot. So we've been doing that pretty much every day. I work. I'm working from home right now, but when I'm not working, I'm running outside doing some yard work, picking up, just kind of working on our homestead, I like to call it. And meanwhile, like right now, my wife is just kind of sitting on the front porch tanning. And that's pretty great because nobody drives by, nobody bugs her. So we can just sit out here and enjoy our peace. So there are there's three big spring projects that I'm working on right now. Two of them are kind of combined, but we'll talk about all three. The first one that we're working on is a shed. We're just building a very simple shed. I'd like to, have this big, ideally, one day when I can launch the brand and we're doing great and we're just chilling here in the mountains and I'm not going to work and I'm not doing anything. I'm going to have a garage. I'm going to have a big ass garage shop. I'm going to have one hydraulic lift inside because you got to be able to change your oil, tires. Buddy wants to come over and fix his exhaust pipe or straight pipe it up. You got to be able to throw it up there. A couple chest freezers, obviously, a place to hang and skin a deer or bear, whatever it might be. I've got that garage, the shop. We call it a shop. I'm actually kind of curious. Y'all should tweet me at MountainManPod or at Delph_13. For some of my redneck folks that spend a Friday night hanging out in a building with a concrete floor and some big doors and very tall on a roof. Would y'all call it a garage, a shop? I'm curious. I've heard of both. We kind of just call it a shop. Like, hey, let's go hang out at the shop. Nobody's really working on anything in there. It's just kind of there. But that's what it is. So, yeah, I'd like to have one of those eventually. I think that'd be great. I think there's a lot that I could do inside of there, like lock my trash inside so the bears do not come get into it every week like they still continue to do so. Although, I'm on a theory. I'm on a theory about these bears because I've started to notice that when they're coming is really close to full moon. Actually, tonight, I'm recording this on Tuesday, April 7th. I believe there's supposed to be some kind of crazy, bright, whatever moon tonight. And you cannot convince me otherwise that that's not why the bear is fucking with my shit. But actually, yeah, the bear hasn't been here in a few weeks, but the bear did come by last night. Dog woke my wife up about 2:45. She woke me up. You can instantly tell, like, my dog just has a specific, really low muffled warning bark for all things, but there is a specific bark that's just for, hey, the bear is right behind us on the other side of this wall right now messing with the trash can. So I got up, I peeked out the bathroom window, and I just see this big motherfucker waddling his fat ass through my yard. I don't know if y'all ever seen a bear walk on all fours, but it is just flopping around. Like if Medea, like if someone that's built like Medea from the movies, sorry, I keep hitting my hat on the microphone, that's what a black bear would be like. Like it's just all in the rump, and it's just jiggling around. It's just walking in my yard, so I get down real low to my dog. I'm like, hey, there's a bear. There's a bear. As soon as I say it, she's like, she's up. She's ready to go. I go over, open that side door, and I say, get him, Ellie. And she's gone. She's gone. Alarm the whole time. Lighting his ass up, chases him all the way up our driveway, across the gravel road to the lane across from us. Every single time, that's what she does. Sometimes she catches him before they leave our yard. She got kind of a late start last night because he was already up towards the road. She always catches him. I can never see, but I'm pretty sure she ends up just biting him in the ankles, and they tussle, and then he runs away. You would think, like, hey, man, I don't know if I want my dog messing with a big black bear or anything like that, but she does okay. She does a pretty good job. She stays safe. She's not scared of them. They're scared of her, and that's what I want. That's what you want in a guard dog. The other dog, sweet little Maggie, she's our chocolate lab puppy, who I've known her mother since her mother was born. She just kind of goes along for the ride, so she just kind of chases Ellie and runs after Ellie and so on. People on YouTube just saw my hat come unsnapped in the back. If I have any folks out there who have bought the Mountain Man hat, which, by the way, if you haven't gotten one yet, they are still available. If I have any big-headed folks that are struggling getting this to fit, send me a message because I'm struggling too. We might have to think of like a different type of hat that might actually fit us big-headed folk a little bit better than it does. Because right now you'll see YouTube, I'm on the only last snap, and I'm hurting my head. You see the red marks? So maybe I just did it again. Maybe I'm not the only guy with the big head, but sometimes it feels that way. So reach out and let me know. And if you don't have a hat yet, reach out. Let me know. By the way, while we're on the topic, I know I'm like all over the place, but y'all know how I am. There are shirts in the horizon, multiple shirts. Possibly, I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's not like I'm doing it, but I'm pretty sure there's an apparel brand that's launching in the near future with its own website, its own everything. And I'm really excited about it. You guys will probably start seeing some marketing for it here soon. I'm looking for it to launch within the next year full scale, so we'll see how that goes. We'll get everybody excited. We'll probably do some really exclusive, OG. I probably don't have a lot of sneakerheads that listen to the podcast, but I'll just stop talking about it. We'll see what happens with that. Working with Ricky Prosper. You can find him at that same @ on all social media. Working with him on a few different designs, a few different things, and we're going to be shining. That's all I'm going to say about that. So really excited for that. Hats, of course, will still be going. We've got different types of shirts and so on. But yeah, the bear's been messing with me, and the bear's been pissing me off, so One day I'm going to build a big old shop and I'm going to just keep my trash in there. But for now, on this shed, let me go back to what I was just talking about. This shed, it's kind of just a run-in shed right now that I'm working on. I'm just looking for somewhere where I can store my lawnmower that I finally got running, by the way. We'll talk about that later. I want to store my lawnmower in this run-in shed. I don't want it to be anything crazy. Dirt floor. We're going to do 3 walls around the side. Probably going to drop 6 4x4s, kind of in like a rectangle. Go about 6 feet deep, 12 foot wide. Run plywood, run like really simple framing around it. Nothing serious. Plywood around the top, put a roof on it. Basically to keep my lawnmower dry, but also could keep firewood in there, stuff like that. So really looking forward to this shed. We're going to be building that soon. I'm going to try to document it as best as I can to try to make a little bit of extra content out of it. And I'm pretty excited for that. I'm also going to kind of I'm going to put up a pulley so that we can skin deer and stuff back there. It'll be a good time. Probably build some racks inside to hang, like my shovels, my rakes, pickaxes, axes, and those bigger tools that it's okay if they're kind of outside in the weather, but ideally we want to keep the weather off of them, so they'll still be hanging under there. Because, let's be honest, when some of the storms up here get to blowing like crazy, which we're actually going to have one today in a few hours, thunderstorm coming in. First thunderstorm of the year, and I'm excited for that thunderstorm. But, wind gets blowing sideways, rain gets going sideways, and stuff's going to come in from the front of that shed, and that's okay. That happens. It's outside. It's not a perfectly, indoor type of facility, which is also cheaper to build when it's not like that. So that shed will be awesome, so look forward to that. We'll keep documenting that. One of the other big spring projects I've been working on, we'll tie this into the lawnmower, is just getting my yard right. This yard is a disaster. This is my first spring at this house since we bought it last fall. The yard is not good, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very rocky terrain, of course, living on the side of a mountain. And just the guy, when he put this house in, he did not really, he kind of just gave up. You could tell, like, the first thing he did was make a really nice kitchen and a couple other things, and then he just said, fuck it, I'm done. The yard is a piece of shit. There's 20 different types of grasses and weeds growing. It is just an ankle breaker, really. Like, I know I've gotten on an episode before and just gone scorched earth on all groundhogs. Groundhogs couldn't even do the damage that my yard could do to somebody's ankles. I'm talking it's just moundy, just washed out. I need loads of dirt. So this yard is going to take years and years to fix. But for this year, we've thrown out some seed. We're starting to get it mowed more frequently now that the mower's fixed. Had to put a new battery on the mower, new plugs, of course. Had to fix some connections going on with the electrical. Had to flush out the whole carb, and basically, what would be the correct word here? I would call it hard coding at work when I just enter numbers manually into a sheet that's supposed to be calculating otherwise. I pretty much had to kind of make my own redneck ingenuity contraption for the fuel line because it was just flooding the engine with fuel for some reason, even when it was sitting. So got a little valve on there that will cut it off now when it's sitting. Mower's been running okay. It died on me a couple times the first day I was really using it. I don't know if the gas was just kind of old that needed to burn out, or if I was doing something wrong, or if it was the oil. We'll figure that out down the road. Right now, it's cutting grass, and that's all I care about. So we've been cutting grass with it, throwing grass seed out, throwing a little bit of lawn food out, just trying to get the grass growing. I'll share some pics on socials as that gets better. Now, some stuff you did see documented on Twitter at Mountain Man Pod was the recent orchard that my son and I have been planting out back. And by his help, he's kind of just hanging out. He's not really doing too much work yet. Although I did order him his own little set of tools. He's going to get a shovel, 2 different types of rakes, and a hoe. And he's going to be so pumped for that. It's going to be like his size, wood and metal. It's going to work, like it's going to function properly. And basically, he'll be able to copy me. Whatever tool I'm using, he can use. Because, the past couple weeks, he's just really started to copy everything that I do. And not to get, all dadgum podcast on you, shout out to my homies, but it's been a big change in our father-son relationship, where I've realized that he kind of just follows me around and does what I do. And number one, that is just awesome. If anyone listening that understands what I'm talking about, it is a great feeling. If you're gonna have kids one day, you'll see. When they finally are looking up to you, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna do whatever he's doing. You got to keep it in mind though, because there's some things that we just do blind, subconsciously, not thinking about it, and he's gonna copy that. So I got to be careful with some of the things I touch and do, and make sure he knows that he can't touch certain things. Right now, his word for danger is just hot, because he learned that from an oven and a fireplace a long time ago. So there's a couple of things outside that I don't want him near, septic tank and stuff, and he thinks it's hot, and so he knows not to go near that. So we've been clicking. The other day I was leaned up against my truck, just kind of hanging out, and I look over, and he was leaned back against the truck too, just trying to look up and copy me. So that was fun. So you saw some pics of him on Twitter. He's been helping me outside a lot the past couple weeks. Sorry, I feel a sneeze coming on. There's also some special content of him out there in a nice NASCAR shirt. Just hell yeah, brother. So shout out to everyone that saw that. But we went out back. We planted a bunch of apple trees, a peach tree, and one pear tree. I'm going to need to get some more pear trees. They were out. Pear trees need other pears to cross-pollinate with. And I know you're wondering, Delph, what is cross-pollination? I'd love to tell you about it. So basically, with these fruit trees, especially with the apples, they need to be cross-pollinated. What that means is their pollen that's coming from their buds and so on needs to be taken to another tree. Now, sometimes that could just be from the wind blowing pollen around. That's why everybody in the South has red eyes and stuffy noses and scratchy throats right now. It's not the Rona. It is allergies. Pollen is everywhere, and a lot of time the wind just blows it around, but also bees, obviously, duh. Bees like to carry around the pollen, and also hummingbirds. I'm a big hummingbird guy. I love hummingbirds. It's kind of just a sentimental thing. It's that's my grandmother's thing. She always fed the hummingbirds, butterfly bushes, all of it. So I love hummingbirds, and I want them to be around. So that's part 3. We'll get there. So I planted some trees, apple trees. We got a Honeycrisp out there. That's my favorite apple for sure. Now, you could argue with me, hey, it's not very mountain man to be eating a hybrid apple. Look, it's a good apple. So I'm going to eat a Honeycrisp apple if I want to. So we got a Honeycrisp tree. We got Galas, Fuji's, some other apple tree I don't care about. I just want the deer to eat it. Basically, I'm kind of building a grove, a sanctuary, whatever you want to call it, where down back behind my yard, as some of y'all have seen before, it's just kind of this rougher area that feels like a field, and there's no stiff separation between what is our nice green all grass backyard and what is just this rough, rocky, dirty weed trees field before the woods starts. So what I've done is planted a bunch of trees situationally to where they kind of separate this little pocket of field from my yard and my house and humans, So what I've tried to create is just this little bubble. It's not big. It might not even be big enough to hunt turkeys in. Maybe eventually. I mean, it is small. And basically it's going to have the woods on one side and some pines on another. And it's going to have all these fruit trees kind of staggered. So you still might be able to kind of see the house and stuff from certain angles. But overall, if a deer wants to come feed in this field, or if turkeys want to come scratch for bugs, they're going to feel a lot more comfortable and a lot safer. And that's my goal here. That's my goal, is to bring in that wildlife so that they can enjoy it. So we've got all those planted. I tried to throw out a bunch of clover down there as well. Clover is awesome because it does not attract bears, but it does bring in deer and turkey. But it's not growing, so we'll see how that goes. We might have to try that again later in the fall or later in the summer, or maybe even again this month. I don't know. It's not been raining like it's supposed to. I'm hoping it starts up soon. We really need this rain. Shout out to Dave Ruff. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how the trees go. We should be bearing fruit as early as this fall, but if not, in a couple years. I need to protect them from the deer. I don't know if the deer found them yet. They seem to be safe for now, but they're pretty young. So we got to baby these trees for 2 to 3 years, get them to grow and get them to bear fruit. But in order to bear fruit, they have to be pollinated. So what's nice about this is, let's say there's a little fuzzy honeybee. Let's name him Eduardo. Eduardo flies over to the Gala apple tree. He's like, yummy, this flower's great. Oh, is that a Fuji apple tree? Let me fly over there. And then when Eduardo gets to the Fuji apple tree, the pollen from the Gala apple tree falls off of his legs into the flower from the Fuji apple tree, and now they have been cross-pollinated. So that will help it bear fruit. Now, there are some trees like the peach that self-pollinate, and they don't need other trees to pollinate with. So the peach is going to be safe no matter what by itself. The pear is not going to bear fruit until I get more pear trees. The apples should be doing great because my neighbor, like 2 or 3 days after I plant these trees, I see him. He's a couple acres away. I mean, our lots are beside each other, but where my trees are over on one side and his way back in his clearing. This is the same guy that I bitched about all hunting season that was coming in and cutting up lumber when I was hunting. But he means well, and so now he's planting a shit ton of apple trees. I'd say about 20 way down in the back, and that's good news for us because that means that's more pollination for our apple trees and more pollination for him. So it should be great. It should be great. I'm not a botanist, so if I said anything incorrectly and there are botanists or horticulturists that listen to the podcast, apologies. I was close. I tried to inform people and educate them about pollination. So, bear with me. So that's been great. We got trees now. That will bring deer in eventually, all the time, hopefully. And soon we will be able to bear a lot of apples. And once I start popping off some of them apples, y'all are not ready for Delph's apple butter. You're not. You're not ready for Mountain Man apple butter. And it is coming. It'll be available. I'll be sending out to everybody that wants it once I start bearing fruit. That actually reminded me the other day, my wife was cleaning in the kitchen, and she finds just this big case just full of mason jars. She goes, "What the hell is this for?" I'm like, YouTube, you see my face. You know what the mason jars are for. Well, I don't lie to my wife. I told her. I was like, I was making shine. And, yeah, she wasn't super happy about it, but I haven't done it in a while, but they were still there. So now we will repurpose those mason jars for apple butter. Apple pie moonshine. Anyway, moving on. So the yard's been tough. The yard has been tough as well because I have not been able to figure out the way that rainwater and storm water is washing down into my yard, and I've not been able to properly dictate where I want that water to go. So let's say you live in a neighborhood, right? Something you may notice in your neighborhood, if you grew up in one, is that the house is going to kind of be above where the street is, more or less. It might be, way up. You might have a steep driveway that you have to run down, or it might just barely be above the road. But not often do you see the driveway go down to the house, unless you're in certain situations like mine where the terrain is different and you have to do that. So the road that I live off of is at least 20 feet above where my yard and my house sits. So whenever it rains, all the rain comes down the mountain. Sorry for all the hand motion, YouTube, but maybe it helps. So let's say it rains on the top of the mountain. There are different peaks within a mountain range. And sorry, YouTube, my camera kind of just freaked out. So we live next to this one peak. I'm looking at it out the window right now. It's not crazy. Some of y'all would consider it a hill if you live in like Colorado or anywhere. And when it rains up there, all that water has to go somewhere. And since it's a hill and a mountain, it doesn't just sink down into the ground like it does, in the flatlands and so on. So that water has to run, and it'll run until it finds a creek. And there will be a bunch of creeks, springs, tributaries, whatever you want to call it, streams that are running down the mountain. Usually they might be in what's called a holler or a hollow. We call it the holler. And that's basically a gap, a miniature valley in between two pieces of a mountain ridge. So you guys know what a valley is. It's when there's a bunch of mountains on one side, a bunch of mountains on the other. And there's nothing, it's low in the middle with a river. So on a much, much, much smaller mini scale, you got a ridge on one side, and maybe 50 yards to the left of you, there's another ridge. But it doesn't go straight across. It goes straight down to your left, and then it goes straight back up over to the other side. What's probably down below you is a creek or something. Now, during certain times of the year, any given day, it might just be a big old rock bed, a big old rock basin. We have one just up the road from me. When I drive over it, the bridge that goes over it, sometimes it just looks like a bunch of rocks. But if it's the day after it rained, looks like a flood. So once it rains, and not immediately, it's kind of like a snowball effect. It might have rained yesterday, and I don't start seeing flash flooding and drainage on my land until the next day. So all that rain goes down into a creek, heads out the holler, and it's going to hit a bigger creek and a bigger creek until eventually they all go into a river, which all go into the ocean. We all paid attention in science class, I hope. So basically, where we live is kind of a holler, more or less. Not really. I'm not all the way down into it. I'm kind of on the side of a ridge. And so when the water comes down from the big ridge, it then starts coming down our road, because our road sits up from us. And once it comes down our road, some people who built their own houses were very smart and put pipe under their driveway. You guys have seen them before. It's like a big black pipe that's got ridges in it, and that goes under your driveway, and then they put the driveway over it. And so what that means is, in your ditch, as the water comes through, instead of running down your driveway into your yard, it just carries on about its business under your driveway down the road to wherever it's headed. Okay? So there's two problems. When they built when they separated this lane to begin with, they were just logging and stuff up here. So a lot of the roads are poorly cut just for big logging equipment, and they don't really care about where the water was going. Then when this idiot built his house, he just built the driveway with no pipe underneath it. So everyone above me up the road, water goes past their house. It doesn't stop. It just keeps coming down. Then it gets to my driveway, and it says, I guess I can't keep going over this driveway because it's above my ditch. I'm just going to turn and head straight down the driveway into the yard. And I will post a picture sometime, but you can see where it literally comes across my driveway and then comes straight down along my woods line and curls into my front yard and just brings everything with it. So anytime it rains, we just have this big old just sand, dirt, swirled. It looks like it just flooded. The dogs love it. They go dig it, but I can't get grass to grow there because it just washes out and waterlogs. And it's been really frustrating. It's creating a lot of problems. It makes it really muddy after it rains, and it's not fun to go outside and do anything. I've got to fix that. I don't have a Bobcat. I don't have a subcompact or a compact tractor like I want yet. It's going to come. It's going to come. But if there's something that I could tell y'all that I've learned that, mountain man wisdom or lore or whatever, it really is just to be patient. Let's say one day all y'all that want to end up buying the house or the home of your dreams, in the back of your mind, you're like, I want my kitchen to look like this. I want my backyard to look like this. I want a man cave with a bar, and I want this and I want that. And I will tell you, all of those things are possible and achievable. They are. I'm not going to sit here and be like, you're not going to have all that shit, because you can. You absolutely can if you work for it and you want to do it. If you work towards it, you can have it. Okay, and I will tell you that straight up, because the only reason that I'm living here is because I worked for it. I wanted to have land. I wanted to be in the woods. I got it. And now there's plenty more things that need to be done to this place. Plenty. But at the end of the day, I'm not even 30 yet. We're not done having kids yet. Our family has a lot of room to grow. And I think something that a lot of us in our generation miss, a lot of the younger millennials on the younger side, is we grew up and our parents, they were able, especially those of us that were born in the mid to late 80s, maybe like super early 90s, a lot of our parents were buying houses in the late 80s, early 90s. And they were able to buy this 4-bedroom home, whatever, and it was pretty affordable. And I'm not sitting here going on a boomer rant. My mom's not even a boomer. She's Gen X. It's not like that now. It's tougher for us. It really is. If I still lived in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, I would not own a house. There's not a chance in hell. My mortgage right now is cheaper than my rent was when I lived up there. And it's tough. It's tough to achieve that. It's tough to save up enough to put down or whatever you want to do. But what I want to tell y'all is don't be scared, because it's a lot easier than you think. You just find somebody that can kind of talk you through it and buy the house. Buy it if y'all want to. I know stuff's a little uncertain right now. But anyway, whenever you do buy that house and there's all these things you want to do, just remember that they're going to come in time. You're not going to have all the money to do it all at once, and you're not going to have all the time to do it all at once. So you kind of have to split it off into projects. And that's some mountain man stuff that I would pass on to you. As it just kind of one project at a time. Keep yourself busy. Don't pull on too many projects where you can't maintain it all at once. Just do one thing at a time. Do it right. Do it well, and be done with it, and be proud of it. Be proud of it because you did it. And that is something that just threw my pen. That's something that I'm really proud of. So another thing I don't even think I've mentioned yet on this episode is I planted a flower bed around the front of the house. The front of the house was looking rough. All types of grass up against the bottom and everything. So we went from one end to the other. We put down some butterfly bushes, which I love. I can't wait till they grow up. I love butterfly bushes and everything that they bring in. Other than the bees. Bees are annoying, but bees can hurt, but bees are a good thing. Bees are very important. And I will always teach anybody that, really. Planting some butterfly bushes, some flowers, some different things out front, and now, we don't have a very good looking, I call it a porch. It's literally just, this guy built this slab of concrete to build a porch, and then he just left it. So we just have like a giant stoop that's like 20 feet by 6 feet or so that's just out there. And it's really frustrating. Sorry about that. Slight interruption. Don't even remember what I was talking about. I think I was going on some rant about, just building stuff and projects and so on. So hopefully you guys listened if you tuned me out. Oops. Moving on. There's a couple other things I want to talk about today. There's a lot of stuff in the wheelhouse for the Mountain Man podcast right now. And I don't want to dump it all at once because I'm going to run dry again. I want to be able to give you guys a couple consistent episodes that get us through this quarantine, but also mix up the content so we can have some tweets, some videos, no burger challenges. No burger challenges. That's what I didn't tell y'all at the beginning of the episode. The reason you haven't heard from me in so long is because I was in the hospital from the McDonald's burger challenge. I'm just kidding. I don't know why I ever did that, by the way. It was really stupid. If you see a tweet on Twitter and you're like, I can do that, just leave it at that. Just leave it at that. You don't have to prove to anybody. You don't have to prove to anybody at all that you can do it. Just tell yourself, I can do it, and just leave it at that. And don't eat 43 hamburgers. I got a DM on Twitter a couple weeks ago that actually has some other stuff in it that I want to talk about in the future. But for today, I think this works pretty well with quarantine and everything else. A guy wrote me a pretty cool message, and then he wanted to ask, third time I've hit the mic with the hat today. He said, how do I get my girlfriend to spend a few days living and camping in the mountains with me? More specifically, how do you get your girl to be okay with shitting in the woods? That's the only major obstacle. Well, yeah, that is a pretty major obstacle. It is. It is tough to get your lady friend or whoever you're taking in the woods with you to be comfortable with shitting in the woods. And to be able to relate to this, I would like to make it more comfortable to everybody. I used to struggle with wanting to shit in the woods. I used to sit out there and constipate the hell out of myself and put myself through unnecessary pain just so I could actually sit on a toilet when I wanted to go to the bathroom. And all that changed for me about a year ago. Holy shit, today's the 7th. A year ago today. No. About a year ago on opening weekend for turkey season, I was down with my buddy Charlie. And I'll probably retweet this video once I drop this episode because I know it's been tweeted, but something happened. Something happened to me. I don't know what I ate or what I caught. But we were sitting there laying asleep, honestly, in his dad's cabin. I'm on the couch, and it just hit me. I was like, oh, man, I got to go. I got to go right now. But I couldn't even make it. I was outside both ends. I think I've mentioned that story on here before. But that next day, I was like, you know what? Mountain man ain't gonna back down from no turkey hunt over a stomach bug. So we went out, and it was an awful day of hunting. It was hot and raining, and we couldn't find shit. We couldn't hear shit. There was nothing. But I still had that stomach ache. And so I had to get used to shitting in the woods that day. And that's when I learned something from a fellow mountain man, Charlie, to just always keep a roll of toilet paper in your backpack. Always. Because that's probably the worst part about having the shit outside is you're like, ugh, leaves and dirt and yada. Like, as long as you can wipe your ass, you be alright. Alright? So, how do I get my girl to be okay with sitting in the woods? I didn't really have to. I just found a woman that is like, will literally make me pull the truck over because she has to pee no matter where it is. You know what? That would have been a really good segment. Let me see if I can think of this off the top of my head. What are some of the wildest places my wife has made me stop to let her pee? Well, the other day, this week, we were coming up the driveway. So we're headed to the house where there's a bathroom. Now, she's 7 months pregnant, so almost 8 months pregnant. So this is probably not fair. She's like, you gotta pull over right now. Like, I gotta pee. So we just stopped in the middle of the driveway. She popped out. Papa Squat peed. We've peed in national parks in Skyline Drive, Blue Ridge Parkway. We were rolling down the interstate in North Carolina. I know I have some Eastern North Carolina listeners, so this is for y'all. And please don't get mad if I'm like calling stuff the wrong place. But whenever we go to the Outer Banks, I like to be down, towards the Hatteras way. And part of that is I don't like going into the Outer Banks the way that everybody else from Virginia, Maryland, and so on goes. And that's from up at the top by Kitty Hawk. I don't like coming in that way. I like going further down 95, avoiding the whole Virginia 757 area. All that traffic, Newport News, all that shit. I'm not dealing with it. I go all the way down 95, add some time to the drive, but it's just beautiful. You hop off, I don't know what road it is, and you just drive east. And you drive through towns like Lumberton and some of these other little towns in eastern North Carolina. They're awesome. There's like flowers and just crops like everywhere. It's just beautiful and flat. I love it down there. And I like to come in from the bridge that's down below Nag's Head and then turn right to go over towards Hatteras. Yes, I remember. So anyway, we're making this drive one summer to the beach. And the problem with this drive is you can easily be doing 100 miles an hour and you don't even realize it. Like, you have to have cruise on because it's just flat and wide and just straight and you're just rolling. So we're cruising. She's like, I gotta pee. I'm like, look, look to your right, look to your left. Do you see anything going on out here? Like, McDonald's might be another 30 minutes in this one stretch. And she's like, all right, like, let's pull over. So I pull over on the side of the interstate. It might be a highway. It felt like an interstate to let her pee. And it was really weird because there was another vehicle that had like pulled over back behind us way back. And so then we get back on the road again, and this vehicle ends up catching up to us. And I look over, I'm like, that's an unmarked cop car. Like, are we about to get a ticket for being on the side of the road? But then he just kind of kept going. So that could have been a whole lot worse than it was going to be. I cannot tell you how many times this woman has peed in a parking garage. Every concert we go to, anytime we like go do something fun or a weekend in the city or downtown or anything, like before we leave, she's in front of the truck peeing in the parking garage. Every time without fail. Yeah, so Tom, to answer your question, I didn't have any trouble getting my girl to be okay with shit in the woods. I just found the perfect, the woman of my dreams for a mountain man, I guess, because she ain't got no problem with it. No, actually, I don't know if she's ever actually shit in the woods specifically. Mostly just pissing everywhere, so I'll have to ask her if she's okay with shitting in the woods and maybe get back to you. But how to get your girlfriend to spend a few days living, camping in the mountains and being okay with pooping in the woods. Got a couple pieces of things I could tell you. One would be to try to just make it, if she's not used to ever being outside doing stuff like that, like at all, like if she didn't grow up that way, you can't just like fully immerse her. Like, you can't take a girl that grew up and has never done a lot of stuff outside. You can't just take her out camping for a weekend and be like, all right, your phone's not going to work. We're not going to have running water or electricity or any of that stuff. Like, you can't just throw her in. That's how you teach a dog how to swim, but it's not how you teach your girl to shit in the woods. So gotta kind of ease her into it. So maybe your first time that you're going to hang out in the woods, just try to make it a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more modern if you have to. If you've got to bring, I know a lot of people do this anyway. I'm not hating on this at all. I'm like this. But if you need to bring like a propane griddle, instead of cooking over the fire or whatever you got to do to make it feel kind of normal, make sure that for sleeping that she's comfortable. I think that's a big deal because you're already kind of anxious to be out there. So if you feel comfortable when you're about to go to sleep, whether it's the tent, the air mattress, her favorite pillow or blanket, whatever, I think that helps. And also, my buddy has this thing that you sit into the hitch of your truck that you sit on to use the bathroom. So if she's kind of grossed out by it, you can just like put a bucket under there if she doesn't just want to like pull him down and squat on her own. Because that it gets a little dangerous. You got to think like you're pooping like right next to where your feet are. You got to be really careful when you get up and everything. But no, I would just try to I would ease her into it, try to help her get more and more comfortable with the concept, and let me know how it goes, please. Also, one more thing about Tom's message to me, which dude just really threw me off, because he said something about North Georgia, but then all of a sudden he like just name drops this restaurant close by with some pretty good food and recommended a burrito that he says is by far the best breakfast meal, bar none, crazy tasty. And I'm not going to like speak in hyperbole because I'm a big breakfast guy. I would say that's my number one meal. I know breakfast. So I'm not going to say it's the best breakfast meal ever. But it is a very good burrito. It is. There are some other things that I get to eat there though instead. I usually get an omelet that they make for me the way I want it. Sausage, onions, peppers, cheese, extra home fries, and a shit ton of sausage gravy. Shout out to Thunderbird Cafe if y'all are listening. So I think I'm actually going to wrap up the podcast today. I'm sorry it wasn't as long as some people may have wanted. Maybe it was too long for you. If that's the case, fuck you. I'm just playing. There will be more coming soon. I'm sorry. It's just a little crazy. A lot of people probably think that it's relaxed and you're quarantined and you got free time to do stuff, but those people have never had a toddler that they're stuck in the house with before. So I'll record when I can. And I will try to continue to put out great content for you guys. We'll be building a shed and stuff here soon. This episode will be on YouTube. If you're listening through your phone or wherever, please check out our YouTube channel. Just search the name Delph. But there are links on our Twitter to everything related to YouTube. Please, if you can, even if you never watch a YouTube video, just hit the subscribe button for me. We hit 100 subscribers on YouTube. We're going to be doing a giveaway. We want to grow the channel there. But also, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, so on, please leave a like, a review, and a subscription. It would be great. And shout out to everyone that has left a review on Apple Podcasts. I would like to say that we have a nice stack of reviews out there. Not a bad thing said about me. So thank you for all the lies saying nice things about me. I appreciate it. But anyway, if you're looking for more content in the meantime, I've been absolutely killing it on my Twitter at Delph_13, where you can find me shit posting, making really dumb jokes, and going after stupid people. But if you would like to just stick to redneck Appalachian cultured mountain man content, then you can just follow us at Mountain Man Pod. Try to separate the two the best that I can, but I am who I am. And if any of y'all saw the pic of me riding around on my lawnmower, it doesn't get much harder to sum me up than that. That's about it. That's what you get. So thank you everyone for listening. Please enjoy the rest of your day, your week, your quarantine. Please stay safe no matter what side of the circle you sit on as to how safe everybody needs to be. I think we can all agree that this shit still will kill people. And no matter where you disagree on where it came from and yada, 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 I don't care. Let's just watch out for each other. Let's be safe. Let's take steps to keep ourselves safe and others too, okay? Because to be honest, I'd really like for this shit to wrap up so I don't have to miss the birth of my daughter. Thank you. And not to end all seriously like that, but y'all know I shoot shit straight, and that's how I am. So thank you guys again for listening. Other than that, I'll holler at y'all later.